In this lecture, we're going to continue our discussion of accounts receivable and really the metrics that you're going to want to know in order to keep the vital signs, keep the pulse on those accounts receivable. Remember, you do not want those running away from you. You want to be able to keep a pretty tight control over what people owe you because ultimately you want to get paid. In the last lecture, we talked about average days receivable. This one, we're going to be talking about the balance, the actual dollar amount. So if you didn't receive that previous video, do stop and go watch that because you're going to need that information to be able to do what we're going to do here. But you will find it very easy to calculate, probably very intuitive for you to do to come up with that average balance of accounts receivable. So let's jump to our magic blue graph paper and let me run through a quick problem for you to help illustrate this example.
Okay, well, let's take a look at how to get that receivable balance or average receivable balance. In the last lecture, we were able to calculate the, we'll call it the average collection period. That was the number of days, okay, the number of days that on average it's taking you to collect or that your customers pay within. And it's a very important metric to monitor, and we talked about how to get that calculation. It was that weighted average. So go back and take a look at that lecture if you haven't seen that one, because we're going to need that. But that was that accumulation, that bucket of customers, all aggregated together. That's your bucket, and we got that the average collection period. Now to get the balance, it's very simple. We're going to use the average collection period. Okay, that'll be a number of days, whatever it is that you calculated. And we're going to simply multiply that by, you might hear this term called average daily billing. Pretty much on average, how much are you selling? How much revenue, or I guess, are you generating? So you might be given a situation where you know your average daily billing, and let's just kind of go through that. So let's say in the previous, for this example, we'll say that your average collection period is 28 days. Okay, you've calculated it out. Your ACP is equal to 28 days. So we're going to plug that in here, 28 times, and let's say that your average daily billing that you're receiving, again daily, average daily billing, that you're receiving is $5,000. And it's as simple as that. You're just going to calculate, you're going to multiply the two times each other. Let me whip out my calculator here. And 28 times 5,000. And we are going to get $140,000. And that is going to be your receivables balance, or kind of your average receivables balance. So what does that mean? That means that at any given moment, if you were to take your best guess of what your actual receivable balance would be, it would be somewhere around this. Now in reality, is it always going to be 140? No, it's going to fluctuate. But what you would want to look at too is, okay, well here's our average receivable balance. Are we really above that right now? Are we really below that right now? So that'd be an important metric to look at, with your actual versus your average receivables balance. Also, you can look at this as just a general metric. Is this way too high? Do we want it lower than that? Well, the only way we can lower it is two ways. We can lower our average daily billings, okay? Or we can lower our average collection period. Do we want to reduce our average daily billings? No, that means we're actually making, less money. We don't want to do that, right? We actually want to increase this. And if anything, we might want to alter that average collection period and maybe bring that down in there to get that down to a lower number. Again, like I talked about in the previous lecture, there's going to be some market forces. You don't want to have that completely at zero, but you're going to have some sort of target, and you're going to be making sure that your receivables balance, your average receivables balance, isn't way out of control. Now, here's one thing that can happen to you. So, you may have a little, situation where you're not given this average daily billing. You don't know what that is. How to calculate it is relatively easy. So let's say, for example, you have, let's just say $500,000 in sales for the year. Okay? Your average daily billing, and the year totals are usually easier to get. So let's say you know what your annual total is, and that could be sales or revenue. It might be in all kinds of different terms, but I think you understand what, if it's a billable event, that means you've sold something, you've provided a service, you've done something in exchange, a monetary exchange where you're receiving, this is the money that was generated that's eventually owed to you. So let's say you know what that number is. All you need to do to find out what the average daily billing is divide by our old friend. We're going to use this 360 to keep things easy. Use that convention and divide by 360 days. And you're going to get, at $500,000 divided by 360, you're going to get $1,388 and some change. And that would equal your average daily billings. Okay, that number right up there. So that's it. Simple, isn't it? It's a very nice little technique, so you can kind of know what that receivable balances should be hovering around. And just remember this one little possible change right in here, where if you need to calculate the average daily billing from an annual total, you know how to do that. All right, so hopefully that gives you some nice metrics, some basics on how to manage those very important receivables. And I hope you found this lecture helpful in your understanding of those fundamental metrics.